Welcome back to John Dawson Disc Golf. Today I want to talk about something that's been on my mind lately, which is the possibility that some days I'm not really playing disc golf at all. Some days it feels like I'm just walking, but walking with intention. By the way, if you're new here, I'm John Dawson. I play almost every day and I'm still trying to understand why this game has become such a big part of my life. Lately, I've been wondering whether it's not just the throws that keep bringing me back, but the walk itself. Because, if I'm honest, I could go to a field. I've done that many times before. When I first started getting serious about improving, I was obsessed with field work. I would work on standstill reps and angle control and test new discs to learn how they actually fly instead of how I hoped they would fly. Field work absolutely had its place. But over time, it started to feel clinical. It became a cycle of throw, and then walk out and gather the disc like I was picking up range balls. The ground was flat, the variables were limited, and the repetition lacked surprise. It was useful, but not so inspiring. On a course, though, something different happens. A course, it feels like a journey. Every hole asks a slightly different question. The angle shift, the lies vary, the elevation changes, and the wind behaves unpredictably. You're constantly adapting. And between every throw, you walk forward. And that forward motion matters more than I realized at first. Walking a course is not the same as walking a track. The terrain is uneven and textured. There are roots and rocks and mud and, small climbs you don't notice until you feel them in your calves. There are unexpected descents that require balance and attention. You're adjusting constantly, even when you're not consciously thinking about it. It's subtle, but it's a workout. A full round at 54 is not nothing. I feel it on my legs and in my lungs, and sometimes in my posture the next morning. But the strange part about it is that I rarely think of it as exercise. I'm not counting steps. I'm not staring at a watch. I'm simply playing. Then, 2 hours later, I realize I've walked 3 or 4 miles over varied terrain and never once felt like I was doing something medicinal. That's rare. It's movement disguised as play. And there's also something about the sensory experience of the walk that you don't get in a field or a gym. On a quiet hole, I can hear the wind moving through the leaves and squirrels darting across the forest floor. I hear birds layered in the distance and sometimes the faint ring of chains from another fairway. And even now and then, there's a loud celebration from a group that just hit something ridiculous, and occasionally the laughter of kids from a nearby playground. It's drifting through the trees. It's life, happening in real time. It's not curated or piped through headphones or filtered by an algorithm. It's just there. That environment changes how I think. When I'm sitting at home, my thoughts can feel compressed and abstract. But when I'm moving, especially I'm moving forward through the woods, something opens up. There's a clarity that comes with physical motion. I'll find myself talking out loud when no one is around, just processing ideas and rehearsing conversations in my head. I think about my kids and I think about my wife and about direction and purpose in a way that feels more grounded than when I'm sitting at a desk. Movement fuels thought. The sky above you, the ground under your feet anchor you in your body. And when you're fully in your body, your thoughts feel more honest and less performative. It's visceral and difficult to quantify, but it's unmistakable. I also believe that walking is part of why this sport feels sustainable long term. I know guys in their 70s and 80s who are still playing regularly. There's a man at one of my local courses. I think of him as like the walking legend. He shows up almost every sunrise with a push cart and a quiet smile, rain or shine. And one morning, I asked him, What keeps you coming back here every day? And he said, well, doctor told me to walk. This way, I win while I do it. That line stuck with me. You see, disc golf isn't just recreation. In a way, it's prescribed. It's low impact and long duration. It doesn't require explosive effort for 2 straight hours. It simply asks you to keep moving. And at this stage of my life, I'm not trying to be flashy. I'm trying to just go far. And walking is how you go far. There's even something poetic about the run-up before a throw. Smooth is slow and slow is far. You don't rush it and you don't muscle it. You build tension, you release it cleanly, and then you let the disc go. You let the disc do what it was designed to do. Well, walking works the same way. It's steady and rhythmic and sustainable. You don't sprint an entire round, you settle into it. And the more I think about it, the more I believe that disc golf might secretly be a walking habit disguised as a sport. If someone invited you to walk 4 miles on uneven terrain for no particular reason, you might hesitate. But if someone asks you whether you want to play around, you're already grabbing your bag. The game provides a destination for the walk, and that destination, it keeps you coming back. It's almost brilliant. You get sunlight, you get fresh air and varied terrain without framing it as health intervention. You get cardio without calling it cardio. You get mental clarity without scheduling a mindfulness session. And because it's anchored to something playful and competitive and skill-based, you want to do it again tomorrow. Now imagine if disc golf switched entirely to carts. I know a course like this. The holes are measured in feet though, not in yards. You would drive for a few seconds, park, you'd walk a handful of steps, throw, and then repeat. It would fundamentally change the rhythm. The walk is not a filler between throws. The walk is the glue. It's the space where reflection happens and where tension dissipates. Without it, something essential would disappear. When I think about why this sport is growing, I suspect this is part of it. People are hungry for movement that doesn't feel like punishment. They want something that gets them outside without turning it into a spreadsheet of metrics. They want an excuse to move forward, both physically and mentally, without feeling like they're forcing it. Disc golf gives them that. It gives you a reason to move through space with purpose, and because you're chasing a basket, you forget what you're actually doing is building endurance and balance and resilience one step at a time. Sometimes the best part of the round isn't even the shot. It's the space between shots. It's the quiet stretch of fairway where your breathing evens out and your thoughts settle. It's the feeling that you are progressing even if the scorecard doesn't reflect it yet. And that's the part that keeps me coming back. If this resonates with you, I'd love to hear what the walk gives you. Is it clarity, quiet, health, or something you haven't fully named yet? And if these conversations are meaningful to you, consider subscribing. I'm exploring these questions in real time, and I'd be glad to have you along for the journey. And as always, thank you for being here on John Dawson Disc Golf.